Tuesday, December the 20th. You all should be reading Job chapter 15, 16, and 17, as well as Revelation chapter 14. And usually we talk about the Old Testament passages, so normally I'd be talking about the book of Job. Job has a lot of repetitive things that we've already covered in some of our videos, so I want to spend just a few minutes with you talking about the book of Revelation, especially in context of Christmas, right? It's Christmas time this week as we're watching this, and I'm excited about what God has done, sending us salvation through Jesus. But maybe you've been a little confused as you've read the book of Revelation. Revelation can be very confusing at times because it's a book full of signs and wonders. It's a book full of these visions that John has because he's trying to describe the things that he's seeing that God's doing. And I just want to let you know, the overall theme of Revelation, if you read through the entire book, don't get scared. Don't feel like, oh, what's going on? I want you to realize the book of Revelation is centered around John telling the church that no matter the persecution that they were witnessing and facing, no matter the trials or tribulations, no matter what was going on around them because of Rome and the evils of Nero and other emperors, no matter what, he wanted them to be reminded to remember, Jesus wins. Jesus wins. I don't know what kind of year you've had, but I know the last couple of years for our culture in the United States and for our world have been really tough. Between COVID and shutdowns and riots and wars, and it can just seem like evil wins a lot. But the hope of Revelation, the reason why the book of Revelation is here for us, this book, is to point us to something greater. To point us, to give us an insight into the end, that even though things don't seem to be going well, Jesus wins. He's won victory on the cross. He has won by saving us, but ultimately he's won. The battle's already been done. It's been decided. Our King is Jesus. And in Revelation chapter 14, what he's doing in this passage is he's giving a compare and contrast. If you read the chapter 13, what you have read about is the beast coming out of the sea and some scary things. And he was using these analogies of Rome and Babylon before that, and Persia before that, and these things and empires that were to come after Rome, and how they were going to choose evil ways over the ways of God. And in chapter 14, he talks about this king that's a lamb who sits enthroned in Jerusalem. And that lamb is Jesus, in case you missed out on the terminology of this. The analogy of this. The Lamb is overcome. The Lamb is the victor. The Lamb is the king, and invites the nations to leave the way of the beast, to leave the way of turning away from God and to worship God in his splendor and majesty and glory. And he paints this really cool picture of us, the church. He paints this really cool picture of people who've come before us, God's people. He uses the number 144,000, and again, it's just some Jewish numbers and stuff. If you want to talk about more, I'd love to converse about what that means. But he's trying to, again, use analogies to point to something greater. That just a large number, a lot of people who follow Jesus from all over the place, beckoning us to come. Christmas time. The reason why I wanted to talk about this passage is this. It's the celebration of not only what God has done for us in the end. It's a celebration of God showing up in the now. They showed up to save us, to rescue and redeem us. Christmas time points us also to Easter. It points us to Jesus was a baby who grew up, lived a perfect life, and bore our sin and punishment. He was the sacrificial lamb. That's why he's depicted in the book of Revelation as a lamb who bore our sin and punishment on himself and offered us life. Says, "Come to my kingdom." And we fast forward from the cross at Calvary. 3 days later, he rose victoriously from the grave. He conquered it. He showed us that he is victorious. He showed us that he has won. And he's coming back again. Revelation is this beautiful picture to a church, again, in the first century, who had been longing for Jesus to come back, who had saw Rome slaughter thousands and thousands and thousands of Christians for just sport, who saw things getting hard and persecution and people rejected from their homes and people literally stealing homes and goods and things from people. And they thought, when is Jesus coming back? Because everything seems hopeless. And John writes this beautiful picture of, don't be hopeless. God, our conquering Lamb is coming again. And no matter what happens in this world, in the end, Jesus wins. Our motivation is not because of things happening now. Our motivation is because of what's happening then, what's going to happen for all eternity. Paul wrote it this way in the New Testament, that our present sufferings pale in comparison to the eternal glory we are going to be a part of, because we're in the presence of the Almighty God forever. Jesus' sacrifice points to the end. Revelation reminds you of what God has done and points you to the end. There is hope this Christmas season. Jesus came. He died for you. He died for me. He rose victoriously, defeating sin. He's coming back again as our victorious King. Share that hope with someone this week. Until we see you again, you were sent.